The world may be closer to a major global crisis than most people realize. Just days after suggesting the United States might begin winding down military operations in the Middle East, Donald Trump suddenly changed tone and issued one of the most aggressive ultimatums of the conflict so far. He gave Iran 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to global shipping. If they didn't, he said the United States would begin destroying Iran's energy infrastructure. Not sanctions, not warnings, destruction of power plants and energy facilities. Trump wrote that the U.S. would hit and obliterate Iranian power plants, starting with the biggest one first, if the strait remained closed past the deadline. This wasn't just political talk. This was a direct military threat tied to one of the most important trade routes on Earth. Because the Strait of Hormuz isn't just any shipping lane. It's the narrow waterway where about 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through every single day. If that route closes, oil prices don't just go up a little. They can skyrocket. Stock markets panic, shipping costs rise, gas prices increase, and economies around the world start to feel the pressure almost immediately. So this ultimatum wasn't just about Iran. It was about the global economy. At the same time this ultimatum was issued, the war between Iran and Israel was getting significantly worse. Iran launched one of its most destructive missile attacks since the war began, firing missiles into southern Israel. Some of those missiles reportedly made it through Israel's missile defense systems and struck buildings directly, something that doesn't happen often. Residential buildings were damaged. Large craters were carved into the ground. Emergency crews rushed through debris and twisted metal looking for survivors. More than 100 people were injured in the attacks across multiple towns. One of the most alarming strikes happened near Dimona Nuclear Research Center. This location is widely believed to be connected to Israel's nuclear weapons program. Although Israel has never officially confirmed that it possesses nuclear weapons. That's why this strike got so much international attention, because once nuclear facilities are involved, even indirectly, the risk level of a conflict changes dramatically. After the missile strikes, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel would retaliate on all fronts. Hours later, Israeli forces reportedly launched strikes on targets in Tehran, which makes this situation much bigger than a typical regional conflict. Meanwhile, the economic effects are already starting to show. Oil prices have surged above $105 per barrel, and analysts are warning that if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, prices could rise much higher. Several major countries, including the UK, France, Germany, South Korea, Australia, the UAE, and Bahrain, released a joint statement condemning the closure of the strait and saying they were ready to help ensure safe passage for ships. Even Japan, which gets about 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz, said it might consider sending military forces to help clear naval mines in the area if a ceasefire is reached. That shows how global this situation has become. This is no longer just a conflict between two countries. It's a conflict that could affect oil, shipping, inflation, and economies across the entire world. Right now, the world is watching three major things very closely. First, whether Iran will reopen the Strait of Hormuz before the 48-hour deadline. Second, whether the United States will actually follow through on the threat to destroy Iran's energy infrastructure. And third, whether Israel and Iran continue escalating attacks against each other. Because if none of these things calm down, this situation could turn from a regional war into a global economic crisis or even a much larger military conflict. And the next few days could be extremely important for what happens next. What do you think? Will Trump follow through on his threat? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to US Policy Watch for the latest updates on this developing crisis.